The format for tonight is I was going to introduce myself and tell a little bit about myself and what I love about Great Hearts, and then Mrs. Swinford was going to do the same, and then Ms. Hanks. Then we were going to share a little bit about our vision for next year, and then open the door for questions and answers. So I'll begin. My name is Suzanne DeStefano. I'm currently the assistant headmaster at Archway, Glendale, and effective July 1st, I'll be the new headmaster, which is probably the greatest honor of my life to take on that role with great excitement. I'm thrilled about next year. And, wanted to describe myself a little bit, not so much the resume, the things you might not see on a bio or a resume. I'm originally from Northern California and attended Santa Clara University. Any Broncos out there? No. I was a liberal studies major, and actually I was a double major of liberal studies and Spanish, and always wanted to be a teacher my whole life. But then when I graduated college, didn't go into teaching right away. I went into the business world and was a trade credit and political risk consultant for 5 years. And that's how I paid the bills and filled my days. But the weekends I spent doing different volunteer programs, teaching children to read, and then became really impassioned about a program volunteering in correctional facilities, working with incarcerated women, teaching them to read. That was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And the time came where it was time to follow my heart and leave the business world and follow my passion and go into teaching, which was 20 years ago. So I've been in the education field for 20 years, also been married for 20 years. I'll be celebrating my anniversary in a couple of weeks. And I have 3 children, 3 teenagers, ages 17, 15, and my youngest will be 14 in a few weeks. So yes, if you're doing the math, that was 3 children in 3 years. So I fondly refer to those beginning years as the survival years. And I'm enjoying the teenage years very much. Maybe not so much teaching people to drive, but enjoying the teenage years. My husband's from New York. I'm from California. We moved to Arizona 13 years ago when my husband was offered a position out here. And, came with the vision of, we'll stay for a couple of years and then we'll move back home. Well, Arizona is now home. We love it here. Love the people. I think Arizonans are salt of the earth people. And I'm really proud to now consider myself an Arizonan. I don't consider myself a transplant. I consider myself an Arizonan. And what else did I want to say about myself? I began teaching 20 years ago, taught first grade, was a reading specialist, and then 2 years ago took on the position of assistant headmaster at Archway, Glendale. And it's been a tremendous joy. I liken teaching and administrating as an experience second only to motherhood. It's been a tremendous joy. I wanted to talk a little bit about why I was drawn to Archway, Glendale, and Great Hearts, and why I continue to be drawn to our school. I was first drawn to it as a parent, looking for a school that was wholesome and that had a philosophy that matched my parenting philosophies. I was drawn to Spalding and a strong phonics program, and I read the literature list and said, I'm sold. This is good literature. I want my children to read these things. Then I got a job here. Actually, was one of the founding teachers when we opened our doors in 2013. And my love for the school has just grown exponentially as I've been immersed in this culture. I love and I'm very passionate about our mission. Our mission is to form hearts and minds in truth and virtue. And that mission is weaved into every single decision that we make, from how do we decorate a classroom? How do we pick our hire teachers? How do we pick a book that we're going to read? And it's something that I wake up in the morning and think about, and it lights my fire. How do we form children's hearts and minds in virtue and truth? I love our culture. At this school, we have a culture based on virtue, trust, conversation, growth mindset, joy, and parent partnerships. And I think those elements of our culture are unique, and it's the secret sauce, a huge part of why Archway Glendale is such a successful school. And I love the people in our school. I feel so lucky when I get to go down the hall and see all these children just, hi, Mrs. DiStefano, and hugging me. And I think, wow, they're so filled with love. How lucky am I to get to work in a place where little people want to hug me? It's pretty awesome. And having taught first grade for so many years, then getting to watch those children grow. And I always cry at fifth grade graduation when I see how much they've grown over the years. It's pretty awesome to be a part of. And then loving the people, I can't help but mention our teachers. Our teachers inspire me. They're incredible. They're not just great teachers, they're great people who give their heart and soul to their vocation to help their children. And then, of course, when I talk about the people, we love the parents. I think often in society or the media, you hear all these stories about disconnects or distrust between parents and schools or parents and teachers. And that is not part of our culture. And that has not been my experience at the school. There is a trust and a partnership where we believe the parents are the primary educators of the children. And we are honored that parents want to partner with us to help educate their child during the day. And that's an honor we take very seriously. And we're all about conversation and communicating. In fact, we even tell people, if you have an email to send that's going to be more than 4 lines, please call so we can have a real conversation about it instead of a long email chains back and forth. We are blessed with a tremendous parent community that embraces our school, our culture, our values, and we love it. So enough about me. I'd like to introduce our assistant headmaster, Sarah Swinford.
Hello. Well, thank you for everyone who's joining us here today. I have to say I'm a little nervous, but wanted to begin with, again, just giving some background of where I'm from. I've actually spent most of my life in what I've deemed the bubble, Northwest Valley of the Phoenix metropolitan area. I grew up here when it was orange groves. My family had horses and was able to go out and play with the few friends that I had. And I remember my boundaries of play were 55th Avenue to 35th Avenue, Happy Valley to Pinnacle Peak. You have to stay in those areas. And when the sun starts coming down, I want you inside because that means dinner's on the table. So I have fond memories of that time, but also being able to see the community grow and mature over the years and see a lot of the friends that I made in elementary school, junior high, and high school raise their families here. In fact, several of them have children at our school today. And what a gift to be able to be with the community so long and be so ingrained. And so the Northwest Valley is near and dear to my heart. I went to ASU for my degree in history and was also had an emphasis in secondary education. So actually my original experience in the classroom was teaching junior high and high school history, which I love because history, again, is a great passion of mine, the story of humanity and the empathy that the study can bring. So that was a great time, but it was then time for me to be home with my family when my children were young. So I stayed at home there and began actually homeschooling. My oldest daughter was just not finding a match for what I was looking for her education in the community, and found classical education with that journey. And then actually did find a classical charter school that opened in the Northwest Valley at that time, and she went there and then went on to Glendale Prep. When it was her time to begin Glendale Prep, it was coincidentally the first year of Archway Glendale being built and opening. So my youngest daughter was going into first grade, and I thought maybe this is the time for me to go back into the classroom. And so I applied and was put into kindergarten. So I was one of the founding kindergarten teachers, which is actually very similar to teaching junior high. A lot of the same growth of development happens. It's a large jump in development those junior high years and the kindergarten years. So I just, again, as Mrs. DeStefano said, I was drawn to classical education, was drawn to the mission of forming hearts and minds in virtue and truth, and then just fell in love with the culture, and that wasn't just a message, but that was in fact something that was part of every day and every person on campus, not just the students, but also the faculty and the families. And I have to say that I'm a better person today because of my time that I've had at Archway Glendale. During those years that bring me here today, I was a Spalding coach for many years, served on different committees at the school and the network level, helping build curriculum at the network level. I also have was a participant in the Headmaster College. That's something that I look as part of my future, but now is not the time yet. I still have a lot to learn, so I'm very excited to have the new experience as the assistant headmaster after having had 2 years in the Dean of Students role, which again, the Dean of Students role was a very, very powerful and meaningful experience, and hoping to continue with some of those pieces, because again, if a child does not feel safe or loved, they're not able to access learning. So that is very important to me, and I know to everyone on our campus. And I said I have my family, my husband, my 2 teenage daughters, and I have recently begun taking Taekwondo. That's my new piece of becoming a student again, having that humility. I had my first graduation actually last month, and was able to earn the next belts, and was sitting with children that are 5, 6. My class has children from age 12 to 67. And again, just another great experience as I continue to grow as a human being. So again, I take this new position with great honor, and I'm looking to serve our students, our teachers, and all our families here. So again, just always know that I'm always available to speak to anyone with any questions, concerns, or ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Swinford. Mrs. Swinford's very humble, but we are so lucky to have the most incredible assistant headmaster of Mrs. Swinford. You're an amazing administrator and an amazing mother and an amazing person, and I love working with you, Sarah. Ms. Hanks, please tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Joy Hanks, and I am originally from Colorado, a small town, Estes Park, Colorado. You might know it. I think everybody at least once in their life visits Estes Park. If you haven't, you should. I went to school in Colorado Springs, Colorado College. I can't say that I ever wanted to be a teacher, or in education for that matter. If you had told me that I would be sitting here today talking to you about my experience as an educator back then, I probably would have laughed at you. I moved to Arizona after I graduated with a degree in economics. I moved here to take a job with a consulting firm. Like Suzanne, my plan was to be here just for a few years, and that was 30 years ago. Ended up getting married and having 4 children. ages 19 to 25 now, 3 girls and a boy. And my education career began when my 3.5-year-old wanted to learn how to read. And that scared me to death, but I was dragged to a homeschool convention with my best friend and convinced to purchase some curriculum. And I did. And I did school with my daughter, and she began reading that following December, which was very exciting. I think I was more excited than she was because I actually taught her how to read. And like Miss Swinford, I homeschooled my children. I was very enthralled with classical education and the writings of Susan Wise Bauer, and it followed, like Miss Swinford, it followed my parenting style. So I did that for 10 years, and then when my oldest was ready to go into high school, I actually stumbled across Glendale Prep, and I enrolled her. She continued, and all of my children ended up attending Glendale Prep. I started with Great Hearts when I decided to become a real teacher. And I worked at Telios for a year as a part-time teaching assistant. And in the spring of that year, they convinced me to apply for a 4th grade position at Anthem Prep. And so I started at Anthem Prep in their first year as the 4th grade teacher. And at that point, I could have my 3 younger children join me because there were no other schools besides Chandler and Anthem and Telios that even offered lower grades. So I worked at Anthem for 2 years as the 4th grade teacher, and then I was asked to join the faculty at Archway, North Phoenix as the headmaster. And I served as the headmaster as the assistant headmaster for 4 years. And then I served as the headmaster for 2 years. So I was at North Phoenix a total of 6 years, and found myself really needing to get back to my roots of the classroom. And Mr. Kirstein was willing to have me come on board. So the last 3 years, I have served as the 4th grade teacher at Glendale, and have really loved being back in the classroom and working with students one-on-one, and watching the light bulbs go off, and just being part of that direct formation of hearts and minds. And so now, officially July 1st, I will be the Dean of Students, and I'm super excited. I'm ready to move back into that role. It's a familiar role to me, and I think I will be able to add a lot of value to continuing the culture and the mission that Mr. Kirstein and the faculty have started there. I love Great Hearts because of the mission and how serious all of the faculty take that mission. We really do put our heart and soul into working with these children, and rejoice in their victories, and what should I say? Assist in their challenges. And I also really believe in the partnership. As a parent, I've gotten to see the fruits of classical education, of a Great Hearts education, and I couldn't have been more pleased with the outcome of my children. And so I welcome talking to anybody about my experience or their concerns. I really look forward to working with parents from a Dean of Students role, and working with students too. That's really where I get my joy, is is from working with students directly. So that's probably enough.
Ms. Hanks, when it became apparent that we had the opening of Dean of Students, I said, we need Ms. Hanks. And so I'm so glad that you answered the calling to return to administration, and we're so grateful to have you as part of our team. I wanted to talk a little about our vision for the coming years. To be quite honest, Mr. Kirsting did a really great job setting the foundation of this school. I think one of his biggest talents is hiring. He hired really good people. And my plan is to not change a whole lot. I want to build, of course, we want to always continue to grow and learn and get better and better. But please don't be expecting massive changes. I want to just slowly build upon the foundation that he has already set forth. I think one of the biggest challenges might be next year of reacclimating students from distance learning back to the classroom. So we've been doing a lot of planning and determining ways to help the students successfully acclimate back, ways to assess students, all of our students, of where they're at in reading and math, so that we can begin interventions and plans right away to get everybody on track academically. Working with counselors about how do we train our teachers to help students that might be experiencing increased anxiety or different things. So we're geared up. We are ready for the August and school to begin. We've been saying, effective June 1st, we are no longer blaming COVID for things. We are marching on, no excuses, no blaming COVID. We're moving forward. And we'll be meeting with our leadership team next week to pick our thematic goal for the year. And then in an upcoming weekly e-blast, you can look in the Headmaster Corner we'll communicate to the families what that thematic goal is for the year. And our mission, our model, our curriculum will remain the same as the past. So that model of having a lead teacher and a TA in every classroom, we had to deviate a little bit from that this last year so that we could allocate teachers towards distance learning. But we are excited to return to our model of a lead and a teacher apprentice in every classroom. The mission has been the same and will continue to be the same for years to come. And our curriculum will be remaining the same. I think all of us have touched upon this, that our culture of having a strong partnership with families will most definitely remain the same. That's extremely important to me. And I want families to know that no issue too big or too small is to reach out to Mrs. Swinford, Ms. Hanks, or myself. I do ask if it's something really complex and lengthy. I prefer conversations over long emails. I think sometimes tone can get confusing in an email, and it lacks that importance of a conversation of back and forth to really understand each other. But it's really important to me that parents feel comfortable talking to administration and reach out. If we don't know there's a problem, we can't fix it. We can't address it. So I'd rather have parents contact us and say, hey, did you know this was going on? We're really concerned about this.